Hello, my name is Marina Flagel, and I will be talking about sustainable textile dyeing. So, the problem of sustainability in the textile dyeing and manufacturing industry largely comes from water use and the disposal of wastewater. So, the most prevalent means of dyeing a textile today comes in the form of mixing a chemical textile dye with water, heating the substance, and then adding a textile to it. This allows the water to be a kind of binding agent between the chemical dye and the textile itself, allowing the textile to pick up the pigment of the dye. Now, this is a process which uses a very large amount of water, which with 1 ton of polyester creating around 30 tons of wastewater. This wastewater can contain heavy metals, solvents, and chemicals from those chemical dyes, 72 of which have been identified as toxic for human consumption. Now, this toxicity in and of itself wouldn't be that large of a problem if not for this wastewater sometimes making its way into the larger bodies of water surrounding the textile dyeing plants. The impacts of these can be catastrophic, with it leading to the contamination of bodies of water and the groundwater. Now, the contamination of the bodies of water can cause color changes in these bodies of water. This can destroy the ecosystem as it can completely stop the photosynthetic abilities of all of the plant life within it, completely destroying the ecosystem at times. Similarly, it can lead to the contamination of drinking water and crop watering water if it reaches the groundwater itself. This can lead to a variety of health problems for locals living in the area, as they will end up consuming these toxic chemicals in one way or another. So, some of the possible solutions to this include plant based dyes and nanocellulose dyes. So, the use of natural dyes like plant based dyes can reduce the chemicals in the water. However, they use the same amount of water in and of themselves, only the resulting wastewater is non toxic as it uses entirely natural dyes rather than chemical ones. Similarly, nanocellulose dyes also use plant byproduct dyes. However, because they can be synthesized into a gel and applied to the textile that way, they minimize the water usage as well. Similarly, new means of dyeing have kind of emerged from this problem. This includes air dyeing and solvent dyeing. Air dyeing uses pressurized air and heat, as well as gaseous forms of dyes, to kind of force the gaseous dyes into a textile and bind them that way, allowing the textiles to be bonded to the dye without any use of water at all. However, this isn't the most effective method, as after some washes, the textile dye can come out of the textile itself. This caused the creation of solvent dyeing, which uses a pressurized carbon dioxide as well as those gaseous dyes, allowing the textile to have a more well bonded dye to it. This means that water is still not used and a better product emerges. Some companies have implemented these solutions. Some retailers, like Levi Strauss & Co. and Patagonia, have began campaigns in which they aim to use less water or more sustainable dyes. With Levi's creating the Water Less campaign, in which they try to minimize their impact of water and their jean production, and Patagonia using low impact dyes, which are largely plant based dyes that use less water in general and don't have as great of an impact on the local community. Similarly, some textile and dye manufacturing plants have began to use new forms of textile dyeing. This includes alchemy technology, which uses digital dyeing, which is almost like screen printing, where a color is almost literally pressed into a textile. Pactics, which uses a solvent dye, and spin dye, which uses a molten plastic dye, in which the dye is in a very hot liquid form, as well as a polyester or another plastic acrylic based textile. They are merged together in their hot molten forms and then spun and woven that way. Now, while none of these solutions are perfect, all of them lay the groundwork for a better and more sustainable future in the fashion and textile industry overall. Thank you so much.